With 48 hours to the governorship and state house of assembly elections, concerns have heightened over alleged move by governors to rig the elections by all means possible, including resorting to extrajudicial means to compromise the process, aside allegedly recruiting thugs to help them disrupt the process to garner more votes. These day findings have revealed that one of the means through which the governors intend to rig the exercise is by working with the resident electoral commissioners, regs in their respective states. In addition to this is another alleged plan to further compromise the electoral officers, thus making the falsification of results much easier than it was in the previous exercise. The third idea being alleged is considered as part of the rigging plan is to frustrate the bimodal voters accreditation system BVAS from working, a situation that will enable them to handle the collation of results manually through their proxies for desired outcome. To give force of effect to some of the other plans, the governors, allegedly in cahoots with security agencies, have started to arrest some prominent opposition members, especially in northern Nigeria, and forcing them to vote for people to vote against their wish. I mean, Ayo, these plans are out there, but we know them already.
Yes, we do. However, it's important for us to highlight them. Mm-hmm. 2 days to the elections. Yesterday, we spoke quite in detail as to some of the concerns ahead of gubernatorial and state house of assembly elections on Saturday. Very importantly, what we emphasized on was the importance of learning lessons from the presidential elections. And we stated some points. I'm very happy that we are now talking about this again, particularly because we are raising the alarm now so that action can be taken. It will be quite sad if, having had these kinds of conversations, intelligence, information, we still head to the polls on Saturday and these things manifest. It would be an indictment on security agencies, an indictment on INEC themselves, because if the issues are clear for people to see in terms of analysts, observers, then and INEC and the security agencies don't deal with these problems, then there must be some truth to the idea of a connivance at the very top in this regard. Now, let's go to some of the things that they've mentioned. And for emphasis, we talk about these things because we must continue to raise these points, particularly because when you embark on a project and you're able to do a risk assessment, the plan or the idea for the risk assessment is in order to mitigate those risks. So we have been able to identify risk areas and the opportunity for these risks to be mitigated. The first, as was George across all states, just observing and analyzing the different states that were polled here. We had Cross River State, Benue State, a host of others. In fact, almost no state was exempt. The main thread across these states was that the sitting governor was either conniving with INEC and INEC officials and security agencies to jeopardize or rig the elections come Saturday. And these alarms were raised by the main opposition parties in some instances. Now, this election is very unique because following the presidential elections and the outcome of that election, the upsets, major upsets in certain states, we have seen the desperation heightened by some of these principles. They are desperate to retain power. They're desperate to not allow what happened on the 25th of February to repeat itself come Saturday. Now, in terms of desperation, the action following that is what then matters. Rather than going to demonstrate their track record, campaigning to the people, they're resorting to extrajudicial activities to ensure that they retain these votes. First of all, of grave concern from these findings is the fact that some of these governors, some opposition parties have raised alarm that some of these governors are going to clothe thugs in official security attire so that they can cause some sort of mayhem on Saturday. This is a message for security agencies. A strong note of warning was made by the National Security Advisor, Major General Baba Gana Mongono, retired, when he had the interagency conversation with INEC and security agencies. And he talked about the fact that there was not going to be any room for security hanky-panky. Allow me to use that word. He said that. And so this is a call that these hotspots that have been mentioned, the police, who are the lead agency, and the military or support agencies should not turn a blind eye. The second part, of course, is talking about BVAS tampering. We saw how, we've seen how this has played out in the last election. INEC has assured Nigerians that the BVAS has been reconfigured and they're on their way out to the different polling units. Therefore, based on their saying, there should be no room for logistics issues, beavers misbehaving, not being able to upload to IREB, it should work smoothly. This is another red flag. If the red flag has been identified, the onus is on INEC to then ensure that we do not have issues around that. And then the big one around voter suppression and intimidation. I'm glad we're going to be talking about this later on during Trending, where we have some traditional rulers stepping in to call for certain traditional rights and activities to take place in this period of time. We've looked at people who have been saying, whatever it takes, we must snatch it, we must take it, we must ensure we deliver this polling unit. Security agencies must come 100% come Saturday. And just a final note, on a final note to Nigerians. You came out on the 25th of February. Despite all the shortcomings, your voices were still heard. Please, this is your right and your opportunity to exercise your franchise come Saturday. Do not be intimidated. The security agencies have said they're on top of things, and you must be able to come out to exercise your franchise and protect your votes as well.
Dr. Martin?
Okay, what is the context for tomorrow, for Saturday's election? More constituencies, about 1,021 constituencies where elections will take place, up from 470 constituencies on February 25. Number of candidates that will be in the election at the gubernatorial level in 28 states and in state houses of assembly, over 930 candidates. Further, this is local elections, this is state elections. So the stakes are higher. However, this is against the background of the experience that Nigerians had on February 25. It is, common wisdom, received opinion, that the Independent National Electoral Commission didn't do well on February 25. Both local and international observers noted that the conduct of the elections did not meet the expectations of Nigerians. Two, that there were many irregularities, including technical hitches that INEC has still not been able to explain to Nigerians. And in any case, of course, that election of February 25, there were issues about electronic transmission, about INEC obeying the laws, its own enabling laws, and the Enabling Electoral Act 2022. So Nigerians now go to the polls on February 25 with a lot of apprehension. And the big question is, has INEC been able to learn its lessons? Do the security agencies realize that it also did not do well on February 25? Will there be an improvement on March 18 when Nigeria again goes to the polls? 2 days ago, at the Interconsultative Agency Committee meeting on electoral security, we were reassured by all the parties concerned that they are ready. But the question is, are they ready? This is the context for this report in this day newspaper, that some governors are planning to rig Saturday's polls. Well, many of those governors lost their ambition to go to the Senate. Many of the states witnessed disruptions hitherto unseen, with the Labour Party causing very massive disruption, changing the political map in different parts of the country. Those incumbent governors who lost their tickets, who could not go to the Senate, they know, of course, that they don't have a stronghold. And so that could be a justification for the concerns that have been expressed in some of the states, from Lagos to Rivers, to Benue, to Plateau, and other parts of the country. And now we're being told that governors want to rig. Number one, we're told that governors want to collude with INEC officials. Well, INEC officials must realize that if they collude with anybody, that would be a violation of the law. And the penalties are properly spelled out under Electoral 2022, on the basis of which INEC had previously said it was slamming errant INEC officials over the manipulation of the voters' registers with the force of the law. It's even more important to do so this time around. We're told that some governors are trying to mobilize thugs, buy military uniforms, or use vigilante groups to influence the outcome of the election. Well, again, to do so also will be a wrong thing. Although in many of the states, specifically Edo State, Cross River State, what you'll find is accusation, counter-accusation, The PDP saying this, the APC saying that. Of course, how do they say it? Nobody will say he ate his mother's yam with a missing knife. So this is the situation right now. However, electoral fraud is not something that anybody can be, waxing lyrical about. It's an offense. It's a felony. And the laws are very clear. And that is where the security agency is coming. The Inspector General of Police this week has been saying, electoral offenses will be dealt with expeditiously. Well, if he were to do so, if his men in the various police commands were to do so and put up a better performance, it will be a surprise. But it will be, a welcome surprise that the police will suddenly wake up and all those equipment that President Buhari made available, all the resources that President Buhari made available will not be in vain. I saw those beautiful uniforms that they were practicing with. Well, on election day, they were nowhere to be found. And we have not heard of any significant arrests being made. In the other states, the issue is about playing ethnic politics, particularly in Lagos State. It is good that the governor in Lagos State has come out to say he is against any form of bigotry, whether religious or ethnic. And I think it's important. Although there's one development in Lagos State where they are trying to rig or disenfranchise people with a traditional Oro cult in Ikate, Elegushi area, in Etiosa local government. I think the Lagos State governor should overrule the Elegushi. The Elegushi, after all, got his staff of office from the state government, and it should not be seen to be doing anything to disrupt the process. The Constitution of Nigeria, yes, allows the freedom of religion, but there are no absolute rights. You can't say you are bringing out some frightening Oro during an election period. That can be postponed. If it is the oracle that said it must be on election day that you must have Oro, the oracle can speak with two mouths, two different sides of the mouth. So they should reconsult the Oro again. After all, it was this same Elegushi that was seen at polling stations. So traditional rulers should know their limits. Nigeria is more important than all this, and it should not expose the traditional institution to ridicule. What is all that nonsense about non-indigents and all of that, must not come out. They should stay away from a particular part of it. In a state that has a constituted authority, we call on Babajide Sanwo-Olu to invoke his powers, to say, no, hold your Oro until we finish the election, so that there can be free movement, particularly of election materials. But what is important is for everybody to realize that the international community is watching. We don't exist in isolation. For the future of this country, for the benefit of the integrity of the electoral process, everybody must conduct themselves after the fashion of gentlemen, failing which the security agencies must apply the law. It's because we don't apply the law that we have the reign of impunity. It is because we don't apply the law that INEC can be talking back and forth. We expect a higher level of performance from INEC this week. Otherwise, it will be INEC's integrity and the integrity of its officials that will be called to question, as women did yesterday on the streets of Port Harcourt, protesting, wearing black, and lamenting that INEC must do the right thing. That is what the people of Nigeria expect. That is what lovers of democracy worldwide expect.
Wow. I checked Twitter this morning, and what was trending was Oro. Oro Babao. Oro Babao. Or Oro. And I think what Nigerians have been getting all this while is Oro. And it's been continuous. What Oro means is a cry for pain. Nigerians have been put in pain by all sorts of methods of this our unscrupulous politician. From using Oro as a bait to disenfranchise people, because we know the people's political affiliation. This was the same person that came out and complained that, oh, I saw a lot of new faces in my polling units, but he forgot in a hurry that INEC registered and put people in new polling units. all of a sudden, Oro has to come out because the polling unit was lost in the last election, Abi. So politicians not willing to attend debates in Delta State and disrespecting the Delta people. And like I said yesterday, if a politician cannot pretend to respect you by attending a debate, you'll be delusional to think he will respect you when he gets into power. When will Nigerians stop shouting, Oro? Or is it the level of Oro pain that INEC brings with their resident electoral commissioners? That the governors connive with, that we have seen empirical reports for? Or the governors are conniving with security authorities, even some that have state police in their state? We have seen a level of connivance. And they are also doing with thugs. Thugs that are a reflection of how bad the society has become. For you, every thug out there, remember, the person that is giving you pittance to work for him, he's 10 times richer than you. His children are having the best life abroad, but the best you will get is 50, 100,000 naira, or whatever pittance he gives you. Even if he gives you $1 billion, it is pittance compared to what is kept for his families and generations yet unborn. His children's life will be better than you that he's using just to rig election for his own selfish interests. Or the authorities trying to compromise beavers, or those not attempting to send results through IREV. All the shenanigans in the last elections will be amplified in these elections. And that's why you, the people, need to be the custodians by taking pictures and documenting the evidence and chronicling them properly. Because for these politicians, it's constantly about their selfish interests. That's why they will never attend debates. And if it's only election time, they make appearances everywhere to make themselves look good. They will connive with every instrument, even traditional rulers, INEC, the police. But please, I beg the security authorities to stand up tall and do what is right. Do not become like the zombies fella talk about. Zombie no go unless you tell them to go. Zombie. Don't be that. Stand tall for your country. And when you see evil and see people try to snatch ballot boxes, stand at them, watch them, and take the ballot box back and stop them from snatching the victory of the people. Elections mean a lot because it determines how a country is run. And people that don't have your interests at heart are the ones that will want to cheat and subvert the will of the people. Nigerians are watching. INEC, you have a little window to save your battered image. Let's see what you will do with this election. But I'm not expecting anything grand, if I'm to be honest with you, about the conduct of INEC. Because fool me once, now you probably will get a chance to be able to fool me again. But it behoves on you to change. So anything that happens, please, we must ensure the will of the people will be done. And people must come out to vote. Don't be scared. Do not be afraid. Because they try to scare you with all sorts of vices so that when you don't come out to vote, it's easier for them to rig. And INEC too, please get your logistics right. I don't want to hear because of Oro somewhere, INEC couldn't come on time to the polling units in Ekati Elegushi. Please come on time so that people can vote and their votes will be counted and it will be transmitted. We just want the best of our country. And this country is great. It's got greatness. Enough of the pain of Oro from Nigerians. I hope these elections will bring true celebrations to them.